is a help guide on how to install Davis Vantage Vue Weather Station with USB data logger. Let's get started. First thing to do is to select your installation location. Make sure it's an open area or exposed to ground level. Now let's unbox and prepare your Davis Vantage Vue Weather Station. Included in your box is the needed Vantage Vue Quick Setup Guide for ISS, console installation manuals and weather catalog. The top of the box has your wind vane, your anemometer wind cups. Inside is your Vantage Vue ISS, your Vantage Vue Console and kickstand, your AC power adapter to power your console, your rain spoon tipping mechanism for your rain collector, and the hardware installation kit. Let's now assemble the Vantage Vue ISS. We will set up in the following order by first attaching the wind cups, then the wind vane, rain collector, debris screen, and then lastly apply power. You will need the included Allen key. First, place the wind cups on to the anemometer shaft. Press down as far as it will go. Use the Allen key to tighten. Ensure the set screw is screwed in entirely and is tight. Spin the wind cups to ensure they spin freely. Next is the installation of the wind vane. On the shaft there is a flat side. This will need to line up with the flat side on the wind vane. To do this, you'll need to orientate the station so that the radiation shield is facing towards you and is on the left. Then face the arrowhead pointing down. And slide the wind vane into place. Rotate left and right if necessary. When installed properly, the shaft should be protruding slightly from the bottom of the wind vane. Then tighten the set screw with the Allen key. The third part to attach is the tipping bucket. This simply slots into place on the base of the unit. Insert the wider end first and then fit the narrow end. Then screw into place. Then install the debris screen. This is located in the hardware package. This simply clicks into place within the rain funnel. To apply power, unscrew the battery cover on the base. Remove the pull tab covering the battery. To verify power, wait 30 seconds. Then press the white transmitter button once. The green LED transmittal will then flash. Do not hold down or press the button multiple times. Then replace the battery cover. To make setup easy, both the console and sensor suite are set to the default transmitter ID of 1. If you would like to check the outdoor sensor suite channel, push and release the ID button on the base. It will illuminate and then go off when you release it. After a short pause, it will blink between 1 to 8 times. The number of blinks indicates the channel. So here it's configured on channel 1. And that's the outdoor station setup. Now it's time to set up the indoor console. Let's now assemble the Vantage Vue Console receiver display. The first step of setting up the indoor console is powering it up. You can power it by using the adapter, C-cell batteries, or both. Using both is a great backup for power outages. To install the batteries, turn over and remove the rear cover. Insert the batteries observing the polarity. Then replace the cover. The device will beep 3 times as it's turning on. If you choose to plug the device, the power port is on the right-hand side. You can use the included adapter to power up the console. When the device turns on, you will enter setup mode. There will be 18 screens to scroll through. The first is a time and date setting. The left and right arrow keys jump between the hour and minute segments, where the plus and keys adjust the values up and down. You can also jump between 12 and 24-hour time by pressing the second and then units key. Repeat the action to switch back. Press done after each step to move on to the next screen. The next is time zone setting. This shows the major cities. Press the plus and keys to cycle through. Select your city and then press done. Number 3 is daylight saving settings. Most of the United States, Canada, and Europe should be able to use the auto setting. Outside of these zones should use manual, so if you are in the Philippines you should use manual. Press the plus or key to select and done to move to the next screen. Next is daylight savings. Use this screen to either verify the correct automatic daylight saving status or to set daylight savings manually. If using auto daylight savings selected in the previous step, the console will display the appropriate setting. If manual was selected, press the plus or keys to turn daylight savings on or off on the appropriate days of the year. The fifth screen will display receiving from. This will show the ID number of any transmitters being covered by your console. Wait a moment for all the stations to display. Make a note of the station number or numbers listed on the screen, then press done. Screen 6 allows you to change the ISS transmitter ID and to add or remove optional transmitter stations. The default ID setting is Vantage Vue ISS, which is appropriate for most installations. Press done. Next screen is retransmit. The console can take data it receives and retransmit it to other Vantage Vue or Vantage Pro 2 consoles. For a standard setup, toggle off and press done to move on to the next screen. The next 3 screens are latitude, longitude, and elevation. You can use Google Maps, atlases, or local maps to find this information. We will now set the latitude value. Press the left and right arrow keys to move between fields. Press done to set latitude value. You can press the plus or minus to change the set value, up or down. Press Done to set longitude value. A tip to help you find elevation. Change Google Maps to Terrain View. After you set the latitude, longitude, and elevation, we will now proceed to the next screen. Press Done to move on to the next screen. This screen is a barometric reduction setting. This indicates a method by which barometric pressure is to be determined and calculated. The default is NOAA, and you can choose between NOAA, altimeter setting, or none. Once selected, press Done to move on. Next is the rain collector setting. It is factory calibrated, and a typical user can skip this screen. Press Done to move on to the next screen. Next is to select the beginning of the rain season that is local to you. The date the rain season begins affects yearly rain rate, highs and lows as well as totals. Press the plus and keys to toggle through months, and then press Done once selected. Screen 15 and 16 lets you determine the temperature base for cooling and heating degree days. A cooling degree day is used to determine the amount of energy or fuel used to keep your home or business cool. A heating degree day is used to determine the amount of energy or fuel used to keep your home or business warm. Press Second and Set, and the current value of 15 degrees will appear. Use the arrows to select a segment of the value, and press plus or minus to adjust. Press Done when finished, and repeat the same to set the heating degree day value. The last two screens are Commentary and Key Beep. Commentary refers to the extra information and comments on current weather conditions that display on the console. You can turn this on or off. The last step is the key beat. You can turn this on or off. Pressing Done again will take you back to the start of the settings. To exit settings and enter measurement mode, press and hold Done for about 5 seconds. Wait for the console to correctly connect to the outdoor sensor suite. This may take a minute. Weather data from the outdoor sensor suite is now displaying on the console. Now you can see the time, date, indoor humidity, and temperature, outdoor humidity and temperature, barometric pressure, rainfall, dew point, wind speed, and direction, and more can be accessed through the keyboard. And that's how to set up the outdoor sensor suite and indoor console for the Davis Vantage Vue weather station. Let's now connect the Davis Weatherlink USB data logger to the console display. First things first, let's open our Weatherlink USB box. Inside the box, we have our USB cable from connecting to our data logger, and the data logger that gets inserted into the console, and instructions. Get your console and remove the back cover. We're gonna insert our weather data logger here. Firmly insert the USB data logger into the large receptacle, marked expansion, inside the battery compartment. Locate a free USB port on your computer, and connect the USB connector to the port. Put the cover back in. Reconnect the AC adapter, if present, and then reinsert the batteries. The console will beep 4 times. We will now check the baud rate setting on the console. Use the bar and Done to scroll to the baud rate settings screen. The default value for the baud rate setting is 19,200. Press and hold done to return to the current weather mode. Let's now set up the Davis Weatherlink software. In this content we will be using the Windows version. The Weatherlink software no longer comes bundled with the data logger. However, the software is free for download from weatherlink.com, and you'll need to create an account on this website. There will be 2 files that you can download, a full version and an upgrade version. If this is a new installation, you'll want to download the full version. Once downloaded, double-click the install file now. You may be prompted to install an older version of Microsoft.NET Framework 2.0. But that's okay, let it complete if you're prompted to do this, and the install is pretty easy. At this point, once you agree to the license, it's pretty much next, finish. Once finished, click close and open the application. Once Weatherlink is open, the software detects that a data directory for a weather station does not exist, and asks if you would like it to create one for you. Select yes, and we'll walk through this wizard. In the next screen you'll have to decide what you want your station name to be. Also on the screen you can see that once you name your station, the data directory will be stored in the Weatherlink folder, which is on the root of the C drive by default. Let's go ahead and continue with the walkthrough. Now we'll need to tell it what model of weather station you have. By specifying the model, it'll set some accessories by default that are common for that particular model. If you have any additional accessories, go ahead and specify them. Now if you don't already have your console connected to your Weatherlink computer, do so now. Here we will specify the communications type, and we will test the connection if everything is set up right. It'll tell you that a station was found. If you don't see this message, troubleshooting the connection will be necessary. However, troubleshooting will be outside the scope of this video. Next we will have to choose our units of measurements. I don't want to ignite a war here on which units are best, so select the units that best meet your requirements. For our UV sensors we need to specify your skin type. As you can tell from the video, I'm pretty fair-skinned, so I selected type 3, so select the type that best suits you. Next we specify the station or stations that we want to auto-download. Select your station and add it to the list now below. I've always left the storage directory as default, so unless you have reason not to, you can leave it as is. Next let's configure our barometer settings by entering the elevation of your station. Now I get this number by going to Google Earth and mousing over the approximate location of my station. And the elevation is going to be displayed in the lower corner, and that's the number I use for sea level barometer. I leave this blank now. Next, we have to set the calibration of our station. If you did not modify your collector from the defaults, you can select yes. We'll be using 0.2 inch in the collector setting. Next is the temperature and humidity calibration. I would expect these readings to be accurate, since I don't have anything to contradict that expectation. I'm not gonna change anything here. Next is the rainfall season. It was pretty much the same when configured on the console. We can change it in software here. I entered the year-to-date rainfall from my previous station. If you have another station, you too can pull that number. If not, you'll have to enter it from another source. Next, we can set the time and date on the console. If time on the console is wrong, you can reset the time and date here, as well as the time zone and daylight savings configuration. Now as a side note, my old console would slow down a couple minutes every few weeks, so I was always resetting it. Next, we have to decide if we want to clear the archive memory. Now I clear the memory, just to make sure that I'm getting data from this time forward. Next, we have to decide on the archived interval. Personally, I want to collect data as often as I can. Since I want to display that data in as close to real time, I will choose 1. Remember, the more frequent the setting, the more storage it will take for your observations. Next, we will set the location of the station, specify in the latitude and longitude. Now you can see the settings that I entered here on the console during our setup earlier, but I'll come back here and refine it as much as possible later. Next, we'll set the wind cup size. If you didn't modify your wind cup from what was included with the station, you won't have to change it here. Also here, if you were unable to orient your anemometer due north during the install phase, you can set the offset here to align for that. Next is the alarm settings. Here you can set an alarm for various readings. As our last setting, we are asked if we want to configure the station to upload all data to weatherlink.com account. Now this is something that I don't require for basic installation, so I have skipped it. Well, we're finished, but we're presented with the opportunity to go back if we need to change something. If you're happy with the setup, go ahead and select No. Now that we're finished, if you want to see the dashboard of your data, you can click the dashboard button in the upper menu. That's it. We finished our setup. Now keep in mind, if you need to change any of these settings later, you can do so by selecting Setup from the menu. Again, this is a help guide on how to install Davis Vantage Vue Weather Station with USB data logger. That's all. Thank you for watching. Smiley face.